So we went from a situation where women's career opportunities were relatively limited to where they were relatively unlimited and there were two incomes to where, and so women could work, to a situation where women have to work and they only make half as much as they would have otherwise. And now we're going to go into a situation, this is the next step, whereas women will work because men won't. And that's what's coming now. And that's what's coming now.
Surge. More than 500,000 new jobs were added in December, but around 7 million men between the ages of 25 to 54 aren't working.
The new analysis of data shows that more American men are staying
out of the workforce to
take care of children.
The number of independent women is on the rise in America, but what about the missing men? More than 7 million men ages 25 to 54 have dropped out of the workforce just this past year.
Even though it was only 7 years ago, 2017 feels like a lifetime ago today. The world was a much different place back then. The world-altering pandemic hadn't happened yet. The gender wars were only starting to gradually heat up, and the economy was actually showing tiny signs of life. This all came crashing down thanks to the pandemic. A lot of people were forced out of their jobs while others found remote work. Even more looked to invest in the stock market, crypto, and in general find alternative ways to make a living. And because of this, a lot of people realized they actually hated their jobs, and hence you got the Great Resignation. This cascaded into a lot of general anti-work sentiment all over the internet as people started to wake up from the matrix. Young men especially began to share their sentiments all over the internet, with some even going as far as to say they'd rather die than work a 9 to 5. Now we have a record number of prime working age men who are refusing to work, and while this sounds like a negative thing on the surface, I actually tremendously applaud them for this. But how did Jordan Peterson know this was going to happen 7 years ago? Well, I'm not going to lie. I can't read his mind, and I don't know how he knew. Maybe he just saw the writing on the wall with the way the economy was going. Maybe it was through all his years of experience watching men and women progress through their careers. Whatever the reason, the fact is he did, and he was dead right about this.
What happens to the women when they're in their 30s? They all leave the high-end law firms. Why? Because who in their right mind would want to live like that? That's the issue, right? Once you make about $60,000 a year for your family, but let's say for you personally, additional income has zero impact on your quality of life. Zero. So why work 80 hours a week? Well, men...
This was a segment from the exact same lecture by Dr. Peterson uploaded in 2017. Although this clip was primarily directed towards women, I actually found myself deeply relating to that as a young man. I was raised as the child of two very hardworking, career-obsessed immigrant parents who were constantly pressuring me to be a perfect student, graduate from a top-level college, and progress into a hyper-successful career. But at some point, I began to question, even if I could accomplish all that, what's even the point? I saw my parents come home from work every day absolutely beaten and miserable. I watched as they aged rapidly from all the stress. Sure, they could buy nice things, but most of it didn't bring them happiness in the long run anyways. If you asked me, I'd much rather live a more modest life in exchange for much better physical and mental health, for actually getting to do things I enjoy, for my own happiness over that of a corporation's. Oh, and by the way, everything I saw with my parents happened in the 90s when the economy and world in general was in a much better place. And even with all those factors in place, I still questioned if a career was worth it. When you factor in how much worse the economy is now and how much more expensive things are, it's just absolutely not worth it. 8 hours a day, 50 weeks per year, 65 years of your life. You're going to spend the overwhelming majority of your life doing something you hate, all for what? Just enough money to survive? As a millennial, one reason I respect Gen Z so much is because unlike my generation, they actually have the ability to think for themselves and form their own opinions outside of the general societal narrative. They question absolutely everything as they should. Whenever I talk to people my age and expressed my opinion that a career wasn't the end-all be-all, people just got offended and reacted like I just spit at them or something. They were just brainwashed to believe whatever society told them and anything questioning that was blasphemy to them. I didn't mind so much that they disagreed with me, but they weren't even capable of having an honest conversation. It was just, Society says this, so you should do this, and that's it. This unique ability young guys today have to unplug from the matrix and have actual critical thinking capabilities has led to many of them questioning if it's all even worth it. More and more guys are quitting society and doing what they enjoy now, whether that's video games, traveling, or just enjoying life. The mainstream media likes to portray this as a bunch of lazy and entitled guys who don't want to work. But in my opinion, it goes way deeper than that. The reason they don't want to work is because they're smart, not because they're lazy. They're smart enough to recognize that society, greedy corporations, and the government have been force-feeding us shit sandwiches since forever, and they're the first generation refusing to eat it. Thanks for watching this video. It took quite a lot of time and effort to make it. So, if you enjoyed it, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated.